Now, it's definitely not every day that you witness a player getting so fed up with his own team's inner workings that he decides to throw shade at them. However, even though it's a rare occurrence, that certainly doesn't mean that it hasn't happened before. In this video, we're going to go over some instances in which some select players decided to speak out about their own teams in the spotlight. And with that, here are 4 NHL players that called out their own teams. Known as being one of the most outspoken players in the league today, Lehner has made it his personal mission to bring awareness to various situations. From the Alain Vigneault controversy to advocating for mental health awareness, the goaltender has never been shy when it comes to speaking his mind. At this point in time, Lehner could easily fall under the journeyman category, as a netminder has been on 5 different teams since joining the league in 2009. However, this time in the video, we're going to focus on Lehner's time in Buffalo. After being traded to the Sabres in 2015, Lehner ended up taking on the starter role for a brief amount of time. But it was after Lehner parted ways with the team in 2018 that he began to shed light on what he considered to be mismanagement regarding his injuries. While on the well-known Chemistrick podcast, Lehner not only claimed that his high ankle sprain and foot injuries were mishandled, but also the injuries of other players as well. The stuff they did to some of the players when I was there, and especially to me, regarding my ankle sprain. It was crazy, man, Lehner says. First off, I'm obviously no doctor, but according to Cleveland Clinic, the general recovery time for Lehner's injury would have been 6 to 8 weeks. According to Lehner, he went on to explain that a week after his injury, the trainers had him wear a boot and hop on the exercise bike. But the impatience to heal the injury didn't stop there. They had me doing leg presses with like 300 pounds 3 weeks into it, and I re-sprained everything and ended up having surgery, Lehner says. Following the accusations, the Sabres had no comment on them, along with the team director of sports performance at the time, Dr. Oliver Finlay. According to the same article we're referencing from Buffalo News, the doctor was fired after only 8 months with the team in 2015. Unfortunately for JOFFREY Lupul, what was once a promising career for the forward was cut short due to a lengthy bout of injuries. Following 3 seasons with at least 25 goals in his career, Lupul, while in Toronto, built chemistry with Tyler Bozak and Phil Kessel. However, in 2012, the lengthy list of injuries that Lupul sustained began here, as it seemed like almost every body part imaginable was fractured, torn, or sprained by the time Lupul decided to call it a career. Broken hand? Sure. Bruised foot? Definitely. Torn groin? You betcha. Therefore, as unfortunate as his situation was, it put Lupul on what Leafs fans named Robidas Island. Stefan Robidas had a situation that bore similarities to Lupul's. After playing only 1 season with Toronto, Robidas rode out the remainder of his 3-year, $9 million contract on LTIR. Due to recurring leg injuries that kept him out of the lineup, Robidas never played again for the team. Former Maple Leaf Jared Cowan called out the team in a separate incident, claiming that their process for dealing with injuries was a, quote, joke of a process, end quote. So yes, perhaps Lupul was dealt a bad hand, and it's definitely possible that his injuries were mismanaged as well. Despite this though, we haven't even reached the juiciest part of the story. In 2017, at 33 years of age, Lupul was anticipating a comeback to the lineup for the first time in over a year. However, Lupul's luck continued to be the worst imaginable. After failing his preseason physical, Lupul met his breaking point and took to social media in an effort to voice his frustration with the team. While responding to some comments on Instagram, Lupul, while referring to Toronto's physical process, said, quote, "They cheat, everyone lets them," end quote. And then later commented, "I'm ready, just waiting for the call," he said. Definitely the most serious and tragic incident on this list was the one that involved Kyle Beach. Drafted 11th overall in 2008 by Chicago, the sky was the limit for the forward coming in. But it's what happened during the Blackhawks' 2010 Stanley Cup run that will forever be one of the worst events in NHL history. So we're going to keep things pretty mild in this video. But if you're interested in learning more, I'll link some sources below that go into greater detail. Once the news broke that Burch was suing his former team in 2021, the details of why surfaced thereafter. Even though Burch was filling in as a black ace at the time, and technically not on the roster, he was spending time with the team quite a bit as an alternate. And it was during that time that Burch later claimed the video coach Brad Aldridge had used his position of coach inappropriately. And by threatening to end Burch's hockey career, Aldridge, for a time, got away with committing some troubling actions. Once the situation was brought to former GM Stan Bowman and former coach Joel Quenneville's attention, they both failed to take action in order to protect their player. Not only were they both later fired, but the team was also fined $2 million by the league due to their negligence. As for Burch, he and his former team were able to reach a settlement amount that suited both parties in December of last year. I think it was pretty inevitable that we'd end up talking about Jack Eichel, considering the video's title and subject. Most of us know Eichel's story. Second overall pick, drafted by a team that was begging for a savior, that eventually decided he wanted to move on and play elsewhere. However, as simple as that sentence may have sounded, the complexity regarding Eichel's final years in Buffalo was certainly something. Once the Sabres finally had a star on their roster in 2015, it quickly became apparent that the team was willing to accommodate their franchise player in order to keep him happy and residing in Buffalo. And really, when he was healthy, we can say Eichel delivered points-wise, especially after gaining a little of NHL experience. The forward recorded 70 or more points on 3 different occasions in a Sabres uniform. Therefore, both sides, for a while, were delivering. The team made him captain at a young age, made sure he had coaches that he liked, and even let him change his number abruptly. Okay, by now you probably get the picture. After Eichel was given an 8-year deal valued at $80 million, many were under the impression that the captain was there to stay. Despite this though, after he sustained a herniated disc in his neck, this will be the nail in the coffin per se in Eichel's saga with the Sabres. In an article, which I'll link below from The Athletic, in summary, Eichel claimed that his team wasn't allowing him to get the surgery that he preferred, which was an artificial disc replacement. Even though the surgery at the time hadn't been performed on an NHL player, Eichel was insistent that it was the only surgery that he was going to receive. I mean, listen, my number one interest and my number one goal is Jack Eichel. You know what I mean? You've got to look after yourself. You've got to look after what's best for yourself, Eichel said. And while doing just that, Eichel was eventually put out of his misery and traded to the Vegas Golden Knights in November of last year, where he was allowed to get the surgery he wanted right away.